I try to be delicate when I give advice to people, especially in real life. Because us human beings, we're complex creatures. There's a lot of nuances to us. And maybe many of us, fit certain stereotypes. We fit certain behaviors, certain things about us. But many of us don't quite fit it to a T. We're almost like a Lego piece. We fit the stereotype, yes, but there's also another part of us that takes on a different shape, and it's not quite the piece that fits that build. It's not the perfect piece for that build, if you get what I'm trying to say. And I think advice, based on who's giving the advice, how the advice is being given, and the timing of the advice, and even who's receiving that advice, it can be a misfire, or just it's good advice. It's genuinely good advice, but it's inappropriate to the person that you're speaking to. Your delivery, maybe the message itself, but that message would be the perfect advice for somebody else, and when I give advice, personally, I try to study therapists in a way. I try to see how do they do it. How do you give advice in a way where it's not preachy? It's not making the person feel like, it's either this way or the highway. You get me? And what I try to do is I try to listen more than I speak. I try to ask more questions than answers, because sometimes the person you're speaking to doesn't actually need advice. That's the thing. They just have a mental fog. They just have a brain fog in their mind, and you just need to ask many questions for them to form a shape in their mind, to be like, oh, okay, I'm seeing something. I'm seeing a shape that's forming. Just asking them questions so that they themselves can have clarity. They can map out things for themselves. And sometimes a person knows what they need to do. They have the answer, but you need to be a guide to help them figure it out, or just give them clarity, so that they realize that I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy for thinking this way, or for believing that this is the answer to this situation that I'm in, And when I do give advice, I try to ask enough questions that I have many things that I can be like, okay, here's my solution to this issue here, this issue in the corner over there, and here's a solution to that issue over there, your issue about your girlfriend and stuff like that, and here's my solution to this issue over here about your school issues. Us human beings are complex. We're very nuanced, and maybe some of us fit into a stereotype, and it can be tricky. An advice that you give to one person will work, but an advice that you give to another person who's dealing with similar issues just doesn't work. It doesn't hit the mark, because their issues come with a different combination. It's like anxiety. When you give advice to someone with social anxiety, for example, and you tell them that all those issues that they have it's all in their head, and there's aspects of truth within that. It is in their head, but it's also gaslighting in a way, telling them that it's all in their head, because that anxiety does come from somewhere. It doesn't just magically appear. People often get advice because they were disrespected, they were manipulated, and they just naturally became anxious. Some people have trust issues because the people in their lives genuinely betrayed them in a way that traumatized them. And just telling a person to trust people again, it's not as simple as that. And I see this a lot in social media, especially. There's a lot of advice out there, a lot. And you have to really equip yourself to filter out a lot of things, a lot of fluff. What is fluff and what is genuinely advice that works for me? And I think that's what's beautiful about the world that we're currently living in, is that you're able to explore different solutions to the same issue. And you're able to form your own conclusion, opinion about something. But there's a lot of danger in it as well. You know, yin and yang. There's a lot of there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. There's a lot of people giving good advice, but the way they're giving the advice it's terrible. It's like medicine. They're giving you medicine, but that medicine is not for everybody. But it is for somebody out there, and it'll help that person. But the rest of the world will tell that person who's giving the advice that they're a horrible human being, this, that, and the other. But for someone else out there, that advice helped them with whatever nuance and complex situation that they're dealing with that most people cannot understand. And it got them out of a mess, and it saved them. Even though to the rest of the world, that whatever that person who gave that advice said is just absolutely horrible. So, yeah. I try not to give advice much. But yeah, that's the end of the video. I don't know what else to say. Goodbye.